Hello and welcome to the VKViewer 6 demonstration video about the valve tree tab. Once you log into VKViewer, you'll be placed on the valve tree tab. This is the most common way to investigate one valve and to take a look at groups of valves inside of your plants. The other common way to take a look at valves is in the repair list, and we'll investigate that further in future videos. On the valve tree tab, you're always presented with the data that you have access to. Right now we're looking at the owner of training and all the plants associated with it. In ValveKeep terms, the owner is the customer and plants are the physical locations where the valves are. Inside of training, we have a plant called Livingston. If I click the plus beside it, all of the valves inside of the Livingston facility are shown to me. By valves I mean relief valves, control valves, line valves, manual valves, electric actuators. All of your valve assets are presented in a standard instrument index list inside of the currently open plant. So here we have our training and our Livingston as owner and plant and all of the valves. Each valve is represented on the valve level, and if I open up the valve level, in this case PSV Demo 1, you'll see all of the events that are associated with that valve. So PSV Demo 1 has 4 events in 2010, 2007, 2005, and 2004. That's also shown here in the lifeline at the valve level. The subfolders at the valve level indicate the images and the attachments that are associated with this valve. Not any specific repair, but the actual valve itself. So these might be sizing documents, these might be as installed images. These are images and attachments that will live through the life of the valve. Each of the events, when open, will show any attachments or images or parts that were associated with that specific repair. So in 2010 those were them. In 2007 we have images and parts, and so on. If I wanted to take a look at the actual repair data itself, or in VKViewer terms the details form, I double click on the specific repair event I'm interested in. Double clicking it opens up the details form in another tab, and I can walk through the tabs taking a look at all of the information recorded about that specific repair event. Here on the configuration tab you'll notice that we have the as received and we have the as shipped information. So we do track the valve the way it came in and the way it left the facility. Each of the tabs across the top is a general process step inside of the workflow of the repair or the sale of a valve. So the details form, which I got to by double clicking on a specific repair event. The details form is where all of the underlying data for that repair lives. If I double click on the valve itself, I'm presented with the lifeline. The lifeline is a quick summary view of all of the past events, the current event, and information about whether the valve is coming due or whether the valve is past due relative to today. Hovering over top of any one of the given events gives me a brief breakdown of what it is that took place. I'll close the Lifeline tab, which again was accessed by double clicking the valve itself, and we'll come back and we'll take a closer look at some of the repairs. Here in 2010, if I open it up, we have attachments, which could be XLS files, can be PDFs, can be anything like that. We have images, and we have parts. So these are all of the items that were specifically associated with that repair. Again, the repair in 2004, it as well has attachments and parts. If I want to take a look at parts from the 2010 repair, and I want to investigate them further, I see here there's a handful of parts, perhaps 7. Double-clicking one will take me to the parts list. The parts list shows me all of the parts that I was looking at for that one specific repair. This is the grid of the parts. If I wanted to see the specific details of any given part, for example the base, I would select it in the grid and then click the details button, which will show me the details for that specific part. That's how you investigate further the condition, the work performed, anything at all about the part. You come to the parts grid, click on the details, and you can see it further. Coming back out to my tree, I'll close up my parts, I will come up to my attachments, and here you see we have an EVT test, we have an actual video of the test itself, but let's go ahead and let's double click on the EVT test. That will bring me to the generics grid, and these are the generic attachments associated with that repair. Here in the list are all 4 of them. If I wanted to take a look at the video of the test, I can open up the details of it, and I can open and view the file. If I wanted to just take a look at the PDF itself, I can also click the open view here. This is how you access the attachments that were associated with the repair. Coming back to my tree, I'll close up my attachments, and I'll come down here and I'll click on my images. You see we have a large number of images, so let's go ahead and let's click on one and take a look at it. Clicking on it opens up my image command. Inside the images we have thumbnails across the bottom that allow me to further investigate the images as I see fit. One interesting thing about this command is there's the ability to compare images. If I click on the image compare button, I'm presented with a left and a right hand side of images. If I choose wisely, I can actually end up with the ability to take a look at as received versus as shipped. So here you see on the left hand side I've got my as received. I'm going to scale it here a little bit to make it fully visible, and I have my as shipped of my view number 1 as well. So there's a nice way to compare the as received to the as shipped. Given that there was past events to this valve, I could also actually take a look at the historical events and compare the way parts were taken pictures of or the way that the valve looked incoming and outgoing. The image command is an incredibly powerful function. Closing all of that out brings me back out to my tree. Back out at my tree, I'm going to close up all of the folders, and we're going to take a look at how the data is being presented to me. Here you'll notice that PSV Demo 1 is an alarm clock ringing, whereas this one is the standard P&ID icon for a relief valve. If I scroll down through my instrument index list of all my valve assets in that plant, you'll notice I have a control valve and I have an electric actuator, but I always seem to have these alarm clocks ringing. What does that mean? Well, those alarm clocks ringing are actually valves that are past due for maintenance. So this tells me that PSV Demo 1 is past due for maintenance. Of course, PSV 48, etc. is not past due, and if I open it up, you can see the repairs that are associated with it as well. So at the valve level, the icon, if it's an alarm clock ringing, means it past due. At the event level, where the two repairs are, those are always shown as a Rolodex. The data points that are associated with each of these levels are also set by you. Over here in the trees columns command, you see that on the left hand side I set up the valve level data points, in this case the tag number, serial number, unit, and next maintenance date. You also set up the repair level or the event level data points, date tested, work order number, and the purchase order number. The repair level items are set for each of the unique kinds of instruments inside of my list: relief valves, control valves, electric actuators, and the manual line valves. So it's through this command that I can add and remove information in my tree, and I can also see what is being displayed. So we know we have next maintenance date, and we know we have date tested on the repair level. Let's close this back out and take a look at our tree again. Here you'll see on my valve level, that's the next maintenance date 2011, which is why it's past due. And these of course are the date tested of 2010, 27, and etc. So that's the way that you can tell what is involved in the data points on each of these levels. Up here, we have the ability to find, and this find only finds inside of currently displayed in the tree items. For example, I know I have a PSV Demo 1. If I close up that plant, so all I can see is my plant and my owner information, if I come up and try and find PSV Demo 1, you'll notice that it's not found. And the reason why it's not found is because it's not currently being displayed. If I open up my tree, you'll notice that it does find it. Another example of that is this. I know that I have a valve that has a tag number of PSV-641. So if I try and find that, it doesn't find it. If I open up some other plants, let's say Petal, Poet Town, and Silsby, if I open up all of those and I come back and I repeat my find, it takes me down to what it has found. So again, this find command only finds in currently open or displayed information on the tree. I of course can find across all of the owners and plants that I have access to through the global find, so it's not as if I'm limited to finding only stuff I've seen. Through the global find command I can find without it being visible in the tree. So the combination of the find here in the tree and the global find allows me to quickly identify any valve that I'm interested in. Coming back over to my tree, let's take a look at some of the interesting ways that I can take a look at my valves grouped. Right now it's a standard instrument index of all of the valves. Here in the valve tree functions I have a couple of checkboxes that I can turn on to take a look at my data in a different way. Asking VKViewer to include the unit level now shows me my Livingston plant broken down by units. If I include the equipment type level, I will see my Livingston plant broken down by units, and if I open up a unit, I will see it by equipment type. So in the fractionation unit, there's 36 valves. Control valves have 0, relief valves have 36, line manual valves none, and electric actuators have none as well. Those two checkboxes for different leveling are very interesting. Another thing that I can do through the additional level drop-down is I can take a look at my statuses. Inside of Valve Keep, we are keeping track of the status of the valve, and the status means whether it's active or means whether it is a spare valve. So turning on the additional level of status allows me to very quickly see all of the spare valves that I have inside of Livingston. Livingston, spare, all of the spare valves. I can easily take a look at all of my active valves as well. And there they are. So as you can see, these different levels allow me a different way of taking a look at the data inside of my tree. The last thing that we're going to take a look at is the way you print reports. The data that you have inside of VKViewer is very detailed. Printing out a test certificate is probably one of the more common things you're going to want to do. Once you have found the specific repair event that you're interested in printing a data sheet for, you can go ahead and come up and click the report button, and then go to data sheet, and the data sheet will be generated, and it will then be downloaded to the local computer. These test reports are customized by your local GTC and MARC, and they are exactly how they would be printed as if the repair facility itself did generate the report. You're getting the ability to print the report as required whenever you want, wherever you are. That is a very quick overview of the tree. We're going to be investigating other things in other videos. Please check back with us, and thank you for watching. Bye.